Okay, let's get right into this explainer. We usually hear about generative AI music when people are arguing over copyright lawsuits or stressing out about job losses in the creative world. But today we're looking at a much deeper, far more philosophical question raised by our source material. We are completely skipping the usual pro-AI versus anti-AI culture war. Instead, we're going to unpack how platforms like Suno might be fundamentally rewiring human craft, reshaping our musical communities, and honestly changing our very connection to the essence of art itself.
We're actually starting with a pretty massive paradox here. So the stated goal of these generative AI companies is boundless accessibility, right? Giving literally billions of people the power to instantly generate a song with zero friction. But is this promise of universal creation actually leading to a deep sense of artistic alienation? Just think about it for a second. If everyone is suddenly empowered to be a musician, why does it seem like no one is inspired by anyone else anymore? Let's trace how the source material breaks down this incredibly modern phenomenon.
To really understand this shift, we have to look at the underlying business model. Mikey Schulman, the CEO of Suno, points out that tech platforms right now view traditional music consumption, just sitting back and listening to a recorded track, as way too passive. Their vision is to literally model the music industry after the video game industry. The ultimate goal here is to completely commodify and gamify the very act of musical creation. They want to turn the process of making music into a highly interactive, daily consumer product that just keeps billions of users clicking and generating.
And get this, look at the values actually built into this gamified product. The developers explicitly list impatience as a core virtue of their platform. It perfectly captures that classic Silicon Valley ethos of moving fast and breaking things. The absolute priority is rapid iteration. Getting to a minimum viable product as quickly as humanly possible is valued above everything else. It basically treats the artistic process like a highly optimized manufacturing floor. Any time spent dwelling on a tough creative decision, well, that's just viewed as wasted time.
But hold on. If we look at this through the lens of ancient philosophy, impatience is definitely not a virtue. In fact, it actively destroys them. The source brings in some really fascinating insights from virtue ethicist Dr. Mariana No, who roots this firmly in the Aristotelian tradition. She reminds us that virtues like moderation and wisdom require us to actively control our desires and assess situations carefully. The ability to delay gratification, that is a uniquely human trait. By intentionally stripping away the friction of waiting and working through a problem, the AI platform completely bypasses the exact mechanism that builds character, discipline, and ultimately, real skill.
And bypassing that friction comes with a very real, tangible consequence. The source calls it the risk of deskilling. When we use generative AI to make our creative choices for us, whether that's writing a poetic lyric or figuring out a complex chord progression, it functions a whole lot like taking on cognitive debt. There's a brilliant comparison made here. Just as doctors who rely entirely on AI for diagnoses have been shown to lose their independent diagnostic skills over time, musicians who rely on AI to eliminate creative friction risk atrophying their own brain's decision-making capabilities. It's simple. If you don't use the creative muscle, you lose it.
Which brings up a really fascinating question about what we even mean when we say craft. In classical philosophy, especially if you look at Plato, craft implies intentionality. It's knowing exactly how to apply your tools to get the precise outcome you've already visualized in your head. The critique here points out that prompt engineering completely lacks this. It relies almost entirely on randomized, unpredictable outputs. Because the user is effectively just rolling the dice over and over again until something happens to sound good, rather than executing a learned technique, the very foundation of what we've traditionally called craft is just entirely absent.
Basically, we are moving away from an economy of cultivated skill. Honing your craft with your fingers over years of dedicated and often really frustrating practice. We're moving to a totally different paradigm. In this proposed AI economy, tech executives openly envision a future where technical skill is utterly irrelevant. Fingers are being entirely replaced by ears. The user's only role left is to be an arbiter of taste. You just sit back and discern whether the machine's randomized output is aesthetically pleasing enough to hit the save button. But this erosion of craft doesn't just affect the individual making the song. It completely alters human connection and our social musical communities. Notice how often AI tools are anthropomorphized by the people using and building them. The algorithm gets described as a musical partner, a creative assistant, or a co-writer. The source highlights this quote, framing the machine as a literal stand-in for human collaboration. It's treated like a digital colleague sitting right next to you on the studio couch, playfully bouncing ideas back and forth.
We've got to go back to Aristotle to deconstruct this illusion. Because true Aristotelian friendship, especially when you're collaborating in an artistic setting, isn't just about utility or having a fun time churning out content. A real collaborator pushes back on your bad ideas. They challenge you. They force you to negotiate and actually elevate your standards. Treating an AI as a collaborator offers this incredibly hollow illusion of community. It completely sidesteps the friction, the standard setting, and the mutual growth required in genuine human relationships. You're swapping all of that out for a perfectly compliant machine that literally never says no to you.
And this total lack of human friction, it leads to something pretty startling. It creates what the source accurately calls narcissistic listening. Because users never have to compromise or actually engage with another person's musical vocabulary, they just start creating hyper-personalized audio tailored exclusively to their own immediate passing desires. Active users of these platforms are openly admitting that they strictly consume the audio they generated themselves. It forms these incredibly isolated, anti-social listening loops, where the shared cultural experience of music just completely disappears into a vacuum of self-gratification.
Let's look at some data the source cited. An informal survey reveals a rather bleak reality surrounding this isolation. When users of generative AI music platforms were asked to name their favorite AI musicians or creative influences in the space, the overwhelming majority couldn't name a single one. Think about traditional musicians. They can enthusiastically rattle off the legendary artists who inspired them to first pick up a guitar or sit at a piano. But these users, they literally say they're only influences themselves. Let that sink in for a minute.
Think about why role models actually matter. Dr. Noe points out that they aren't just celebrities we stick on posters in our bedrooms. They are essential philosophical blueprints. They provide an actual pathway for acquiring complex skills. When a developing artist is faced with a difficult creative choice, they might ask, hey, what would my hero do in this situation? Role models give us a tangible goal to visualize. And even more importantly, they provide the awe and the inspiration you need to put in the thousands of hours of hard work required to achieve greatness.
So, the analysis logically connects the dots here. In a purely taste-based ecosystem where everyone can generate infinite, perfectly produced content instantly, the awe-inspiring magic of technical craft disappears entirely. I mean, if you know a breathtaking piece of music was generated by typing a quick text prompt, rather than through years of human struggle, discipline, and sheer genius, there is absolutely no technical mastery left to revere. The commodification of the final product inevitably brings about the death of the role model. Because if craft is irrelevant, why look up to anyone?
So where does this leave the future of music? Well, the source offers a brilliant, historically grounded prediction. It compares the rise of generative AI to the invention of the movie camera. Think about it. The camera eventually split the singular craft of acting into two entirely distinct art forms, live stage theater and recorded cinema. AI is poised to cause a similarly definitive, historical split between recorded music and live musical performance, which up until right now have existed on a seamlessly shared continuum.
The explainer neutrally unpacks this conclusion for us. It theorizes that recorded audio may indeed succumb entirely to automated commodification. For your everyday, background listening, the origin of the audio simply might not matter to the consumer anymore. However, because generative AI cannot replicate a living, breathing human physically performing in a room, live music is going to split off entirely. The unfalsifiable friction, the very real potential for human error, and the raw intimacy of live performance, that will be elevated. It's going to become the final premium prestige art form, reserved strictly for genuine human craft.
I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought from the source material. As AI effortlessly strips away the barrier to creating a polished end product, it forces us into a corner where we really have to ask what it is we actually value. Are we just seeking a pleasing arrangement of frequencies to mindlessly consume, or is the true essence of art found in the friction, the community, and the deeply human process of creation itself? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll see you next time.